All right, guys, got a cool video today, something we've been wanting to do. You could probably already guess what this is. It's a spoiler. We're gonna be doing the install on the 2014 Hyundai Elantra here. It's pretty straightforward, just like the Cannards. It's gonna involve some drilling. We're gonna do some more prep though on it, make sure we're extra safe and we're extra careful on it because we are drilling into the body. And so once you do that, there's not really any going back unless you're gonna have to sand the paint down, get some Bondo, put it in there, get the little reinforcing mesh. I'll link a cool video in the description by Chris Fix. He does a whole video on doing body work when it's really rusted out, and he kind of explains the process. It wouldn't be as extensive because it's not a rust situation, but you're still gonna have to patch it up, repaint it, match the paint, meaning the clear coat to the other body panels around. I'll link, of course, all the things I'm using and go over the things I'm using, and any instructions I get elsewhere I'm gonna include in the description, as you guys know. I always do. This spoiler did come unpainted, and I got it for I always look for deals, guys. It was like $77. Really great deal. I usually see these for around 100 something, even unpainted. And then I'll, of course, link the paint that I use in the description. They're a really cool company. They did a paint match for me for the paint they send you. And because we know that our car, well, actually, I've never mentioned this, but I have the pearl white tri-coat, which is code JR, paint code JR. So it's not just the plain white Elantra, it is the pearl white, which I think when you get the limited, it comes in that regardless. And so as you can see, I think I did a pretty good job myself from painting. I got some white primer. It was matte black. So of course I want to use white primer and not anything gray or black. I also got a plastic adhesion promoter. They want you to use SEM, but I couldn't order that. I just got another one from, I think it's Krypton or Crytex, the paint company, and it worked just perfect. Do like 3 tack coats of that, then do your primer, 3 coats of that. So you're gonna sand, smooth it out. Then you're gonna do your mid coat, which I did, I think 3 or 2 of those, and then you do your base coat, 3 or 2 coats of that. That's the paint color, the actual color. Then you do the mid coat, which is the pearlescence that you see in the flakes. And then you're gonna do the clear coat on top to adjust how bright or dark it is. I'm gonna do a close up and hopefully you guys can see the reflections in the paint that you get, that pearlescent sheen there in the paint. I hope it's showing up. I can't really tell from the screen. But yeah, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and go through this installation. I'm really excited. This is the brake light one, so there's a brake light here, but we're gonna leave that masked until it's installed. We're gonna peel it off, get a nice satisfying reveal. I did mask this off when I was painting it. It's gonna need 3 holes drilled, 4 on the left, which 4th one will be for your wiring, your power, and that's gonna go actually up to your 3rd brake light, which case it's gonna get power from that. So every time you brake it, this will light up. And of course 3 on the other side. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get started and let's go over the tools that we're gonna need. So just as you guys know, I like to be a bit prepared. I like to have whatever I might need for the job, which is best because last thing you guys wanna do is find out you need something. I'll go over what you will need essentially. So of course you're gonna need a drill, and you guys have seen this drill in action already. The Ryobi 18 volt lithium tech brushless impact driver. I got some wire snips here. This is a really good brand of wire cutters. It's the Southwire. I'll link these in the description as well. This I can't link because I didn't buy it online. I went to Home Depot and got it. And it's really cool because they gave me a Ryobi bag, another battery with it, the bonus for buying the tool. I went and got some Ryobi drill bits. We're gonna be using the 1/8 inch here to tap through the drill alignment indicators, and I'll explain those a little bit later. And then you wanna use a unibit or a step drill bit, which essentially is kind of like those, but it's gonna be good for the body panel when you're widening the hole versus doing something like this. Because when you drill with these, it's kind of interesting because it's stepped. When you drill down, you'll get like a moment just before it goes to the next step of like doom, where it like kind of makes a little tap and then you know to stop, and that just makes sure it's gonna be nice and consistent. This is the hardware that came with the spoiler. Yours might vary depending on which brand you get. If they give you these here, which are these are the alignment indicators I was talking about, which essentially their function is to, from the other side of the spoiler where you're gonna drill, this side goes in it, and then you essentially will set the spoiler down on the car, tape these all down, and we know we have 7 total to do. You lift up the spoiler, and then we're gonna use the 1/8 inch to drill straight through there, and then our holes are perfect. And they give you a little kind of cheap foam gasket, which is to be done around the edges, like around the edges of the feet of the spoiler, which we're not gonna use. I'm gonna use my nice quality foam tape that we have here. That I've used in other videos before, which I highly recommend. I got this at Home Depot as well. They give you a little bit of general instructions for doing spoilers. and of course the mounting bolts and some washers based off height adjustment. We know we don't want to over tighten them because it says that specifically not to, so you're not trying to be overzealous with it. I mean, they're going to be secure once you have them secured like that, just tight enough, and then plus the silicone that we're going to put around, silicone caulking around the drill holes because we don't want rust since it's exposed metal now. Brought some silicone in case that method doesn't work. This is just silicone paste, really useful, highly recommend this one. Brought some tape here, and this tape is just painter's tape. That's what we're going to use to secure these on. Got my 3M tape as well to help tack it down when we get the holes finally drilled and then we realign it. Besides that, you're going to want to have maybe some scissors just in case, because we might need to cut some electrical tape or something else. Of course, when you're doing the wires, you use the wire cutter, screwdriver to get up in the tight area there to tighten the screws finally, with some alcohol to prep and clean the area. Of course, water, guys, to stay hydrated. Might need to use these for something under there in case I need to move something, I don't know. I brought them anyway. Gloves, and if we're using caulking and not from a tube, caulking gun, and some microfiber towels that we're going to use with the alcohol to clean the top and prep the surface of the trunk where we're going to be drilling. And of course, guys, as you always know me to say, safety first, always wear eye pro. That's the bare minimum. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and get the alcohol so that we can prep the area here and ensure that it's nice and clean. See, let's just go ahead and do a surface wipe first, using the fibrous side of the microfiber to really get all that dirt up. Now we're going to get another one. Again, using that sort of fibrous side there to pick up some of the alcohol in there. You just don't need that much, it goes a long way. Just the whole area, you know? This is how we have a nice clean working area, and you can already see it's picked up quite a bit of stuff there. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the right side of the car, and nice and clean. And we're gonna go over with the clean paper towel. Now to help us out, we're gonna tack down our spoiler too. Before we do all the actual drilling, because there's some very specific measurements that I saw on a website about it. At each end here where the spoiler is going to be, which I'll show you in more detail right here, it wants about 1/2 inch from the very tip of the foot to this edge of the trunk on both sides, and that's going to help us line it up just right. So let's go ahead and do the process of putting in our feet for the spoiler and then lining it up. All right, guys. Just as you can see right here, we get this point, put it in just like that, and you can see that. So they already have some sort of resistance on there, which is gonna help us so it doesn't fall out when we turn upside down. And then again, we just put this one in here, just like that. And we don't need it too tight, just enough so that it's gonna stay. And then just like that. And then we're gonna tape along these sides when it's flipped over. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, exact same thing. Now, because it's painted black, you might think the screws or the nuts on here for the screws are plastic. They're just metal, but they're painted like the rest. We got all three here. Now for the drill hole itself, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a method I saw in the video, which is we're gonna create our own anchor, which quite a clever idea. We just get some double-sided tape, as long as it's wider there, tear that. And then we're gonna want to just put a little strip of tape in here. It's gonna hold this on here, just enough so that we can make sure that the hole's staying in the right spot. Then we're gonna poke a hole here where it is through the tape. Then when we flip it over, the hole will be marked there. This is the edge I was talking about here that needs to be 1/2 inch from this edge right here. So 1/2 inch between here, along this edge here with the body line to that point. All right, guys, because of the natural inclination of the spoiler, because the angle that it's set at and how far it extends out and where the feet are, it wants to tip downwards like that. So to help us out while we line things up, you just get a piece of tape here, put it at the edge, and tape the back of the trunk lid. Same thing on the other side, and then you can adjust each side, tack it down, and then when you've finally done that, then you can tape down these, okay? All right, just making sure you guys do this. You want to look underneath because you can see there's a gap there. You want to make sure that these are still attached to their holes and that this is not sticking up because of that. And the reason for that is if we do that, our holes will be misaligned. So you want to look under and make sure that that's all still good. And as you can see, I looked under already. They're all still in the holes. And then we can just do our final adjustment. You can see this is the one that gave it away. Completely loose, so we need to be careful of that, guys, because again, you don't want to mess up on this. All right, guys, we just finished. Again, this is what you want to do. You want to take your time. After you have these tacked down good, then you can lift the spoiler. There'll be a little bit of resistance because these kind of fit in like Lego pieces or something, I guess would be the best way to describe it, within the nut. So you want to pull it tightly. You'll hear that little click when this goes back down, and then you have your drilling points here. And this is what you want to follow, right? See how this one's kind of bent? That's fine. You're gonna, because this is the edge here, you can imagine it was flat down because that's what it was, right? And just make sure you guys don't have tape catching on the trunk when you open it, because that'll like mess up your install there. You have to do it over again. But essentially this is what I mean right here. We have no access to this to tighten it. Now we might be able to do something from in here, removing the bonnet, which we're going to test, but if not, we're going to just have to do it like this. They describe the drilling points about here and here and here, so we're going to have to essentially work with that. Just like this one is going to be right about there, and we have this one right here, and then another one like right there. So it's going to be a bit extra work, guys, but we can do it. 3, 2, 3. All right, guys, looks good. Again, you guys want your iPro on because we're going to be dealing with something here that has metal shavings, and we don't want that. So just push down with even pressure. Oop, there we go. And then carefully move back up. Reverse. Steady pressure. Because we know it goes at a weird angle. And right back up, just like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the other side, guys. All right, guys, so we just finished doing all the drilling. Now we're gonna remove this. We'll have our clean holes. We're gonna dust off all the metal shavings and plastic, and then we're gonna worry about doing the other side, guys. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and take this stuff off. Again, being careful about the metal shavings. This is why we wear iPro. Just get all that tape off. Just put it there. Remember to throw away your stuff, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the rest. Clean up, we're just gonna get a little paper towel and alcohol. The wetness is gonna help get any loose and small particles, and we're gonna do that across the whole thing because some wind did blow a little bit across from the other side. And as you guys know, that's again why we wear iPro. We don't want little pieces of stuff getting in our eyes from the wind, especially metal. So let's go ahead and do that and clean it up again. All right, guys, so now that this is done, we're gonna swap to the unibit and tap out these screws to be a little bit wider. We're just gonna go one step at a time. You can see the little steps there until we get a good tight fit with the screws included. And you can see right here, if we line them up, again, it kind of looks like it's just before a 1/4 inch should work, which is again 7/32, I think. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, had it at level 2 for the 1/8 that we started with. Quick swap system, pop that out. And then this is of course impact rated, which is the little Milwaukee red band. I couldn't find one with Ryobi, but again, I'm not like some brand fanatic, but there we go. And that's ready to go, guys. So let's go ahead and widen the holes a bit more. All right, I'm hoping you guys can hear the tapping action. The little noise it makes. It might just be more visual though. But again, we're gonna go ahead and go in. Just go nice and easy. There we go. There's that little tap. And it was good to the paint around it, which is what we want, guys. So then you go ahead and remove that out. Just like that. And is that wide enough? I don't think so. We already know it's gonna need to go down, not 1, not 2, but down. There's another tap there. And we're gonna need one more, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. And there's another one. So let's go ahead and see how this fitment is right here. That's gonna thread just perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and use the 7/32, guys. I don't wanna get any pieces of metal, so I'm gonna use my screwdriver to take that out. And then we're gonna tap the rest, and then of course clean up again. Guys, just as you can see right there, nice and widened on both sides. And now we're gonna clean up again and then worry about tapping to get access to the other side so we can actually screw into the spoiler. And we're almost done, guys. So next thing we're gonna be doing is, before we actually mount it, we're gonna worry about putting our foam in there around the edges so we get a nice good seal around it and that there's no light leaks in between. And essentially that's gonna be it, guys. Once it's screwed in, we're gonna put caulking around that and then a little bit on the top just so it stays nice and sealed. We don't have to worry about rust. I'm actually gonna put a little bit of silicone grease in between the threads just a little bit and wipe it so it's not too caked up. And then yeah, we're gonna be all done, guys, and we're gonna see the finished product. I'm excited. The drilling's a little bit nervous. Trust me, I believe you, I know the feeling. You know, you love your car, you don't wanna mess up. This is like, okay, I'm either gonna have to do body work, get a whole new trunk piece, and you know, that's like a whole pain, money. You're worried about it, but just, you know, be confident, guys, have faith, and you'll be able to do it. All right, guys, so just to review, sorry, the camera cut out. Based off these measurements here, we just used a screwdriver and went through the other side and kind of felt for the best area. And we used our China marker or black grease marker here to drill our exit points where we can then have access to tighten down from this side. So we're gonna go ahead and drill these ones here, replicate the exact same thing on the other side, and then we'll go ahead and proceed. Another thing that you wanna do before you begin, which is optional, to prevent a bunch of metal shavings from getting down in the car, what I'm doing is I just got a paper towel and folded it over, and then when I drill, that wetness and the towel is gonna catch everything so we don't get like a huge mess. Then we'll use that to wipe upwards. So let's go ahead and start that. We're gonna start with this one first up here, and then we're gonna work our way down. Actually, we're gonna work down here and then work our way up, so. And there we go, there's that one right there. And we'll just go ahead and proceed with the rest of them. And we're gonna use the unibit from the 1/8 to step up to make the hole bigger so we get the right size for our screwdriver. And as you can see, the paper towel worked perfectly and caught all those metal shavings. So I'll go ahead and do this for the whole side. Then once the holes are big enough, we'll review and then screw and then seal with the caulking. All right, guys, so we drilled our holes. Don't use this one here. I already found it out when it was already kind of big. Go from the side point here, and then you'll have a path just to go straight through. And then at an angle, kind of use your screwdriver there to get through to the other side. I don't know if it's really showing it. Yeah, you can see that exit there. This one works out perfectly. Thing to note, because our metal's a bit thin. Yeah, see, I messed up here. Gonna have to kind of go at an angle. This side's a bit harder than the other. It's less straightforward because you're kind of working blind, I guess. This one, you just want to make sure that when you're doing both of these, actually, the other side came out better for this one. You're going to want to essentially make sure your drill bit, once it's at a certain depth, is lined up going through this hole. This one you don't have to worry about, but these two you do, so that by the time you're at the right width on the unibit, you're already going to have the tiniest part of the bit sticking out. That way you're not drilling a second hole. Just be very careful of that. As you can see, this side turned out a bit better. There's the hole I made, but I readjusted because I found out based off that one. That one's always good. And then this one, of course, I pre-drilled the 1/8. So yeah, just make sure you're aware of that when doing the drilling. Other than that, the next thing to do is to get our foam here. And we're gonna apply that foam on the feet, on the bottom, but leave the parts for the thread so we can thread in. That's gonna give us a nice, good contact. And before that, what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna get our caulking, okay? That's this right here, which you wanna get some kind of silicone, all-purpose, 100% silicone, permanently waterproof silicone caulking. And we're gonna use that to seal in here. We're gonna put some inside, and then we're gonna use a little bit to kind of make sure we get around the metal and the inner part, and then the outer part. So that way when it sits down, it's not only gonna create a good adhesion, it's gonna seal this off here from moisture, which is very important. And I always get something that doesn't have a Proposition 65 warning. One of the really cool things about California is that, I think. We're gonna go ahead and put the foam on the feet, and then when I do that, I'll go ahead and show you guys what that looks like after. And then, yeah, essentially we're gonna put the caulking in, gonna show you that, drill it from the other side, or not drill it, screw it in, and we're essentially done. And of course the wiring we're gonna do too, so we'll be ready for that. So we finished our spoiler here, and as you can see, we got the bottom parts here coated in the foam, poked where our holes are gonna be. I did it in 2 pieces. It's gonna take a while to trim, doesn't have to be perfect, but we're gonna have a nice seal here now, and it's gonna have some little padding for vibration. Similar to what we did with the canards. This one, same thing, 2 pieces. Difference is we have that 4th hole where I dragged the wire through. And I realized something, the wire is quite a bit shorter than what I remember, I think. I hope that it can reach the brake light, but I'm anticipating it won't, so this might have to be broken up into day 2 where I actually get some more wire and splice it onto there to get more, of course, length. And of course we got our caulking ready, which we're gonna put on the top first. So we're gonna do that, then we're gonna set it on top. So let's go ahead and do that first. All right, as you guys can see right here, we're gonna go ahead and get our caulking. Don't worry about the paint, we'll clear it up after. We just wanna get some nice amount of stuff in there. That way we can work with it and spread the material around. And we're gonna go ahead and do all the sides, and once it's cleaned up and ready, we're gonna go continue from there. So we went ahead and cleaned up the little areas around it. Doesn't need to be too perfect because the spoiler is gonna be sitting on top, and this will be a bit more adhesive around the foam. Now the trick here is once we get the screw here at this angle, right, it's gonna be in there. The issue we're gonna have to deal with is making sure this doesn't fall off, because it's gonna fall in there, and well, then what? Now I'm gonna try to use my magnetic little holder I have so that I can get it in line. Then once it's in line, I'm gonna screw it in. Now those of you who have magnetic screwdrivers don't even have to do the second step, so it's perfect for you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the middle ones, and then from the 2 middle ones, I'm gonna work down, then out. All right guys, so I already routed the wire through here. The next thing would be to line it up all the way. I'm gonna have my screwdriver going in through the thread here because I use the magnet to push the screw through the other side. That way when I push it down, it's gonna push it out with me and not fall down. So that's the main thing. All right guys, so this side's hard, and then we'll be able to go on the other side and make it work, because this is just, this is more trouble than it should be. So we're gonna safe process magnet, do the middle one. This has been pulled through already. Gonna do our drilling. And yeah guys, when it's finally done, we'll do that, do a bit of cleanup, and we'll see the finished product. So we'll get back to that after. All right guys, so we have just essentially secured the middle. It's on finally. So a lot of work for that, but it's finally on, and then we're just gonna do the middle ones now, and essentially that's it. Yeah, and then nothing much else to it, guys. We're gonna try to wire this in later because I don't think we have enough wire length to work with to begin with. Yeah, we're gonna just put in the other 3, and then that's essentially it. My magnet tool came in handy because when I was doing that side, the middle one, it fell down, and because of the way this is designed, it just sort of falls down here in this little crevice, and I just went in from the bottom with the magnet tool, pulled it up. Let's go ahead and finish, and then after that, we'll look at what it looks like when it's closed. As you can see, everything's mounted on here. It was a bit of a pain to do the drilling and getting it all on, but it is sitting flush. Like I said, we just wired for the brake light, underneath for the 3rd pillar lamp there, or the upper lamp. But as you can see, everything's good. It is a bit of a not exactly perfect fit just because this is not OEM and it wasn't perfectly designed, but we'll go ahead and pop the trunk real quick so you guys can see the wiring set up here. And of course, you guys know already that we did the silicone on the inner part where we drilled. Yeah, that one's really unsightly. I'm sorry I even did that one. You can kind of see in there, it's actually hard to see, but you know, we just, like I said, would maneuver it in, then use the magnetic screwdriver. You definitely want one of those. This hole we didn't use. Then yeah, I just threw this one where I did the bolt, I pulled the wire through. Don't let it sit in there while you're doing the bolt because it will take up space for the head to fit in. Even if you're using magnetic, it's just a pain having it fall down here and then putting the magnet tool in this hole, and you just twist this off to get that off and get it. But yeah, essentially that's it, and then wired this down here by the emergency trunk release, just like that. And that went all the way to here, which then goes there, and then of course up to the 3rd brake light right there. And you just kind of twist your copper ends and stick it into the prongs. And so guys, so that concludes the spoiler installation on the Elantra over here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you like, subscribe. And again, God bless you all, and always enjoy the drive. See you.